The immortal John Hancock here, and I just came back from the video game swap meet in Portland, Oregon. I had a blast and I took many pictures and want to share with you why I enjoy going to smaller game expos and swap meets. I took a lot of pictures, I shared my thoughts and experiences. Let's check it out. The video game swap meet in Portland, Oregon was put on by the Portland Retro Gaming Expo and SideQuest Games, which is a physical brick and mortar video game store in Portland, Oregon area. I totally recommend checking them out. Typically, smaller expos are one-day events, and this was the case with the video game swap meet, and it was packed. Typically at smaller shows, it is a nice place to pick up uncommon games as well as systems that you typically don't see. At this particular show, there was lots of Atari 5200 games at a particular vendor. These are games you typically don't see a lot, and the prices were very reasonable. If I didn't have these already in my collection, I definitely would have been scooping them up. If you were on a budget, there also was a nice selection of more common Atari 5200 games. This was a whole bin of some decent titles for the console. And so, you go to these expos and there's just games everywhere. So it's really a good idea to come with like a list or a focus, because you can get easily overwhelmed with the amount of product that is at these shows. This one in particular had lots of product ranging from Atari to Xbox. Different regions are going to specialize in different consoles, but in the Northwest, there is a lot of Nintendo and Sega, and the prices were very reasonable. I was going to each vendor table and I was seeing very reasonable prices. Many of the vendors were willing to negotiate, especially as time went on throughout the day. And I was just seeing lots of clean copies of games, and I saw a lot of people very happy with their purchases. If you like to collect video game related items, this show had you covered, as well as many of the smaller expos typically have artists and people selling plushies and other video game related things. It was cool to see these officially licensed products at the expo. I'm always on the hunt for new hats, and a vendor in particular had some officially licensed products. Zelda, Sonic, Mega Man, Donkey Kong themed hats, as well as many other awesome themed items. And I picked up the Donkey Kong one because I hadn't seen it before and it fit well in my head. Another thing to keep an eye out for at these expos is vintage computer equipment. This is something you don't see typically every day, and it's a Radio Shack TRS-80 Model 1 with custom case, and it also had its video monitor. Pretty sweet. What's great at these shows is there is lots of more recent titles, especially if that's what you're looking for. PS3, Xbox 360, and Wii was everywhere. There was lots of decent prices, so you could walk away with a game as cheap as $1. And this is a great way to pick up games in bulk that you are looking for, saving on shipping, seeing the game in physical form in front of you. You can check the condition. It was awesome. Every expo needs to have a vendor that's selling various accessories and cables in a rat's nest where you have to dig and find that particular hookup that you are needing for a console. And the video game swap meet had that. My good friend Corey was offering great deals on parts, and he said it was very successful for him. This is a good way of completing a console, especially one that you're wanting to play if you're missing a power cord or a TV hookup or a controller or something else. And so, for $1 a piece, that's a great way of completing a console, especially one that you're going to be playing. It wouldn't be a great swap meet without awesome guests, and I was having a neighboring table with John Riggs. What a great guy. If you haven't checked out his channel, he's got some great content. He does repairs, he talks about cereal and much more, He's just a wonderful guy, and I am glad to be friends with him. Another person for the Metal Jesus crew was there, Kinsey. She's so positive and uplifting. She recently did a new video on our channel as well. And not pictured, I don't know why I didn't get a picture, but Kelsey and Cody of Pink Gorilla Games were also at the expo. And it was just fun hanging out with them and talking. It was definitely a nice place to casually talk to each other. I definitely nerded out when I found out that Randall Reese was at the expo exhibiting some artwork and pre-production items of games that he worked on. He's done several different games. He's worked on many different things. Most notable probably is Spider-Man for Sega Genesis, as well as Zero Tolerance, which I did a video of the link cable on my channel way back when. Huge fan of the game. He was such a joy to talk to, as well as having many promotional items of Zero Tolerance. The Zero Tolerance ammo crate was supposed to be an unreleased deluxe edition of the game. There's various other promo items, like a dart gun, a shirt, and some brochures that were used to promote the game to Toys R Us. He was really passionate about artwork, and he had some Zero Tolerance artwork used for the game done by Gary Jones. It was fantastic. It was a nice little display and something different to look at. And so just having one of my favorite kind of hidden gem games have its own little display with the designer there talking about the game was so fantastic. Also on display was the unfinished in prototype form Beyond Zero Tolerance. What I first thought was a mock-up, which the outside was a mock-up. He showed me the original and one-of-a-kind prototype of Beyond Zero Tolerance in his possession. This was the follow-up, and unfortunately it didn't get completed, but it was super cool to see these. These prototypes have typically different labels and handwritten notes on them, dates. Very cool to see. He was also giving out prints of original artwork made for Zero Tolerance. I thought that was awesome and really cool to add this to my collection. So for the last 10 years, I have been involved with various homebrew projects, and at this show, I was offering a new homebrew program by Jason Santucci, labels done by Corey Kramer, the artist. Atari Age actually printed the labels for me, and the 32K boards came from Canada. This was an adventure style game, and I made a small batch of these for the show. It's labor intensive. I sometimes offer these homebrew items at expos. Make sure to check out my Facebook page, as that is where I mention if I'm going to be offering these at an expo or a new homebrew. Check it out. Some of the items that I scored at the expo, I did pick up an original N-Gage. This N-Gage was in better shape than the one that I had in my possession. The battery does need to be replaced, but I swapped it out with a working battery and it did boot up. It also came with some of the original software, which I didn't have in my possession, so I was excited to pick this up at a reasonable price. What's really cool in the Northwest is that you find a lot of Xbox related products with these stickers on them, and I was looking for a Halo Combat Evolved game with the Microsoft company sticker on it. This is something I've been on the hunt for, and what's kind of cool is you can easily find these in the Northwest, and it was only $5 in great shape. I picked it up. I've been on the hunt for some label variations for Atari 2600, and this is a variation of Galaxian that came out in 1985, has a different end label. I finally found it at a very reasonable price. Also was on the hunt for condition upgrades and this Marine Wars, which was only $3. That's right. I was like, oh my goodness, very uncommon game, very clean label. So I did pick it up as it was better than the condition of the one I had. More label variations that I did find that I didn't have in my collection, or they were upgrades to ones that I had. That Canyon Bomber there, look at the date it came out. Wow, late 80s, 1988. To the organizers, friends, and countless people that I got to talk to during this awesome event, thank you. I had a great time, and I am already looking forward to attending next year's show. There are many game shows and expos that are now happening across the United States and in other countries, and I encourage you, if you can, if one is near you, to check it out, because there are many awesome experiences that you can have at these smaller game shows. These smaller shows do not get advertised as much, but they offer a unique experience if you can attend them. So thank you so much for the wonderful support. It is most appreciated. I'm going to keep it positive. Hit that subscribe button. You folks are wonderful and beautiful. This is the Immortal John Hancock. You take care.